in Lahore last night. The team have arrived here in Dubai today. Just firstly, your overall reflections as a captain to have qualified for the Champions Trophy final.
Yeah, no, it's obviously exciting. Boys put in a good stint last night up against a very good outfit. We know South Africa are a great team, especially in these knockout games. So we had to be on, and I think obviously it's set up from the start with the bat, and then it was a scrappy game on a pretty good pitch. But I think the way we were able to manage to chip wickets away and to keep the pressure on, and again the boys in the field have been outstanding to back up the bowlers. So can't complain really.
How do you assess the overall performance with the bat? Firstly, obviously a massive total, the biggest total we've ever put up against South Africa, and then with the ball as well, after being put under pressure early by particularly Rassie van der Dussen.
Yeah, I think they bowled well at the start. We kind of weathered a bit of a storm there, Youngie and Rutchin, and then I think from there they just showed great intent throughout the innings, and took down the bowlers when they thought they could, and then soaked up some tough spells, and then I think the way they were able to kind of increase that run rate, increase that intent from about the 30th, and it kind of took us from that kind of 320 to that 360, which was probably slightly above par. But a team like South Africa with the power they've got in that lineup, we knew we weren't safe. We had to keep going well with the ball, and I think even 1 for 50 odd in the power play was still pretty good on a good wicket, and then I guess the spinners were able to kind of tighten it up a little bit and keep chipping wickets away, and like I said, backed up in the field. So a great kind of all-round team performance, which it's just good. Different guys have stepped up and firing at different times throughout this tournament, and it's put us in a good spot for a couple of days' time.
Yeah, talk to me about that sort of moment in the middle where you're able to get Van der Dussen with that beautiful ball, and then obviously to get Heinrich Klaassen pretty early too. How crucial was that, and to kind of stem that chase?
Yeah, I think it was a used wicket, but we thought it might kind of break up or spin a little bit more than it did. It held together quite well and still looked like a pretty good track. It was just trying to fire it on a good length and let the pitch hopefully do its thing, and one spun, which was nice. I think in partnerships with Beast there, and he did a great job at the other end, and then even when you throw the ball to GP and Chin, those kind of key wickets there as well to keep keep the pressure on South Africa and keep chipping wickets away, and that's all we asked for with the ball is still to be aggressive, even the fast bowlers, the short balls and stuff like that. Just keep being aggressive with the ball, trying to take wickets through the middle, and that's the hardest thing in one-day cricket. If you can't do that, teams get 500.
Talk to me about what it's like to have Kane Williamson and Williamson and Ravindra in this side. Obviously Kane the old head and Rutchin, the new young gun coming through, and what was it like watching that sort of match-defining partnership yesterday?
Yeah, it was special to watch. I think they both go out about it differently. Kane just does his thing. Actually, I thought he played an extremely great knock with Rutchin there. That kind of intent they showed, they were made kind of 6 runs and over look pretty easy, and then getting out the ramps and the scoops, and I think the way they kind of took down Maharaj, who I thought was a threat in their side for sure. And then I guess Rutchin just playing his freedom with that natural game. It's pretty cool to watch, and makes our job as bowlers a little bit easier.
Yeah, we look ahead now to the final on Sunday here in Dubai. Firstly, a few guys in the team that have obviously had experience in big finals before. How crucial is that kind of experience going to be, particularly alongside some younger guys like Will O'Rourke, Williamson and Ravindra, those guys that will be playing in their first final?
Yeah, I guess finals cricket is different, but yeah, I think for us it's just what we've been doing to get us to this point is it's been good. We've showed a lot of good stuff. The way we're trying to operate as a unit, and keep progressing this team forward and beyond this tournament. But obviously we come against a good side. Have played obviously all their games here in Dubai and know that surface, and I think we would be better for the run we had the other day against them. So I guess it's about just trying to keep it pretty simple. It's easy to say it's just another game, but it's obviously not. But I think the way you kind of go about it, it is just another game of cricket. The things we've been doing, we don't need to change too much. Obviously, the surface will dictate a little bit of how we want to operate. But yeah, it might be a little bit obviously slower than what we're going to get in Lahore, so it might be more of a scrap. But we're down to scrap.
As a captain, how proud are you of the side, particularly for the unique challenges we've faced with the amount of travel we've had to do, and just the general kind of feel of this tournament, moving around a lot?
Yeah, I guess it can be. It's all part of the challenge. I think I think we've been to every place here, and obviously in Pakistan and Dubai. So but I think the guys understand it's part of it these days, and as long as you're kind of ready to go for the game, and I think obviously that tri series before, the tournament was handy. Guys getting in form, especially into one of these tournaments which are quite short. 3 games and you're to the semi. So I think we've had a bit of a roll on, and hopefully it continues.
What's the vibe like in the camp? A slightly more normal travel day today, but how's everyone feeling?
Yeah, I think once we're here now, and the boys are pretty excited for obviously the challenge ahead. A couple of days off or 1 day off in a training, but then boys be fizzing and ready to go for the main event. But yeah, I think it's important for the boys tomorrow just to relax and get out and chill, and then we get into it in a couple of days' time. So I think the boys are looking forward to that.